The first ever job interview I got accepted into was at a seafood place. I was in high school at the time. A lot of jobs weren't hiring people my age or with my level of experience, and many of them didn't even pay enough to make it worth it, in my opinion. So, this seafood place was the first one that actually accepted me for an interview. Now, here's the thing. I do not like seafood. I hate fish. I hate oysters. The only reason I ever eat fish is because I know it has some health benefits, but I never willingly eat it. I only eat it if it's served to me. On top of that, I'm allergic to prawns and shrimp. So when I got accepted for this job, I Googled the place, and it looked more like a restaurant. I thought, okay, maybe it's a seafood restaurant. And at that stage, I was kind of desperate. So I said, let's just go for the interview and see. Firstly, this place was in some fuck-ass middle-of-nowhere town. It was almost a 30-minute drive away, and there were barely any train or bus routes that went there. So realistically, it would have meant my mom driving me every time I had a shift. When I arrived, the outside didn't look too bad. I was trying to figure out where exactly it was, and then when I went inside, oh my good lord, it was a seafood butchery. The smell hit me instantly. It absolutely stank inside. I was gagging. I almost felt like vomiting, and I just kept looking around trying to hold it together. In my head, I was gaslighting myself like, no, the smell isn't that bad. I can do this, I kept trying to convince myself. I could handle it, but deep down, I knew I couldn't. Then I spoke to the manager, and they told me to come in for a training day. They said they'd give me gloves and show me how everything worked. On the drive home, I just kept gaslighting myself again, like, it's okay, I'll bring seafood home for everyone. I'll get discounts. But the funny thing is, I don't even like seafood. So really, I was just lying to myself. Couple of days later, constantly stressing and gaslighting myself, I finally admitted that I couldn't do it. Not only because of the smell, but also because of the distance. My mom would have had to drive me 30 minutes every single time since there were no buses or trains going there. So I eventually messaged them and said, hey, I found another job, but thank you for the opportunity. Basically, I lied, but honestly, it was better than going there and torturing myself for low pay. God knows what lore I would have got from that place. I think the second job interview I ever got accepted into was kind of a corporate job. I'm not really sure why so many corporate jobs were accepting me for interviews. Maybe I had a really good resume, or maybe I hyped myself up a little too much on it. I was still in high school. I think I was 17. So maybe they just didn't do the maths and realize that I was still a student. But yeah, a lot of corporate jobs were calling me in. I already knew from the start that this one was high paying, and I also knew I wasn't going to get it. Because the second they found out I was still in school, there was no way they were hiring me. But I did it for the plot, you know? Everything in life is experience. I'm pretty sure this was the second interview I'd ever done. So this job wanted very talkative people, like proper extroverts. Those type of bubbly, over-friendly people that seem fake as fuck. They said you had to be a people person, able to talk to anyone, anywhere. During the interview, they actually made me do a few tasks that involved talking to random people while they watched me. One of the tasks was to go up to random people and ask them, if you were on death row, what would your last meal be? I remember the first person I approached didn't speak English, so the interaction was painfully awkward. And in that moment I thought, oh, this is going to be one hell of a fucking interview. This was literally the first task they gave me, so I was already like, how am I supposed to get through this? After that, I just started approaching random people. A lot of them looked at me weirdly at first, probably because I was holding a clipboard, but once I started talking, most of them turned out to be really friendly. I was actually shocked at how nice people were. The more I did it, the easier it got. And I started thinking, wow, talking to strangers is actually kind of easy. I remember going up to what I think was a couple, an Asian guy and a white woman. The woman kept saying, no, we're not interested. So I was about to walk away, but then the guy stopped me and asked what my question was. So I asked, if you were on death row, what would your last meal be? They laughed and answered. And then he asked me, why are you doing this? Because of the clipboard. I told him it was part of a job interview to test how well I could talk to people. Then he goes, this isn't for an insurance company or anything, right? And I was like, what? No. But he just kept blabbing on about insurance companies and said, never get into insurance companies. I found that whole interaction so funny because what did insurance have to do with anything? Anyway, I still needed to ask two more people the same question. I saw two white guys and went up to them like, I have a question. If you were on death row, what would your last meal be? One said, butter chicken. And the other one said, so you'd go out having to take a shit. Not gonna lie, I kinda had to hold in my laugh. They were so odd and funny at the same time. Then came the next stage of the interview. Icebreakers. Basically, I had to approach people and start random conversations, like complimenting their outfit or asking someone with tattoos about the meaning behind them. This part was so nerve-wracking because it meant I had to observe people and pick something to say, which made me feel like a total weirdo. I saw a young guy with tattoos and literally ran after him because I thought, there's my one chance. I told him, hey, you have really nice tattoos. And he just awkwardly smiled, said, thank you, and kept walking. In my head, I was like, do I follow him? Do I chase him? What do I do now? Because that wasn't a conversation. It was just me complimenting him. Then I spotted an old lady and asked her where she got her jacket from. It was such an awkward conversation because I obviously didn't care about her jacket. I just needed something to say. And then, at the end, the interviewers told me, oh no, we made a mistake. You didn't actually have to approach people. We just wanted you to write down icebreaker ideas. I just stood there thinking, holy fuck. I just spent 10 minutes embarrassing myself, and now you're telling me this? So yeah, that was one very weird interview experience. And no, I didn't get the job. Well, I suck at this game. See you next time.